everybody, and welcome back to the Entertainment Brick Show. Today, we are back with some more Mandalorian level ideas for a Mandalorian / Star Wars Disney Plus show video game that I think would be pretty cool if it happened. And again, we're back with the Mandalorian, back with Mando Season 1. We're doing episodes 5 through 8 today. So that's four levels based off of the 4 episodes remaining in the Mandalorian series, or at least Season 1 of the Mandalorian. The first video, we went through the first 4 episodes, and those were all good, and now we are getting to these last 4, and then this concludes the Mandalorian Season 1, which then we will be moving on to the Mandalorian Season 2 after. So for now, I want to get started on these Mando Season 1 levels / episodes, and if you don't know how this works, first time that you've ever seen this video, or any kind of video that I've done in this series, basically what I do is I have designed like some levels, written out some level ideas. If a Lego Star Wars like Disney Plus show video game ever was made or created or whatever, and I wrote out some levels for every episode of The Mandalorian, and both seasons in this case, as well as other Star Wars shows, which will be made into videos later on in the future. But for now, we are just going through Season 1 of The Mandalorian. We're just getting started with this series when it comes to the Star Wars shows. And we went through the first 4 episodes of The Mandalorian in the first video, of this Mandalorian chapter of this series. And now we are going through the last 4 episodes of Season 1 of The Mandalorian in this new chapter of this series here. So I do want to get right into it, starting with Level 5, or Episode 5, The Gunslinger. So here we go. Alright, so starting off with Level 5 here, which is also Episode 5 of The Mandalorian Season 1, we have The Gunslinger. This is my favorite episode, but, it's alright. It's a fine episode. And we start off with Part 1 here. Creature in the ship here. And for most of this Season 1 playthrough of this game here, you've been mostly playing as the child and the Mandalorian. So why not switch it up a little bit? In this first part of the level here, you'll be playing as Peli Motto, who is like the person who owns the hangar on Tatooine. And you'll also be playing as a pit droid, because I could not think of another character to include here. So the whole objective of this part of the mission here is you'll again be playing as Peli Motto in this pit droid, and you'll be in the hangar, in the Tatooine hangar, with the Razor Crest in there. And the objective is to search around the hangar for this creature, which ends up being the child, of course. And, the child's going to be running around to, different areas of the hangar, and you have to go chase after him and, do a bunch of puzzles and stuff like that to try and get him out of his hiding spot. And then he'll run to another hiding spot, and you got to do the exact same thing again with this pit droid and Peli Motto. And again, I want to switch it up a little bit, because again, the whole past 4 levels, you've been mostly playing as the Mandalorian and the child, and then we get a little stale just playing as them two for a while, so why not kind of spice it up a little bit with some more unique characters here. So, there you go, that's Part 1. Part 2 is the Sniper, and this is obviously from the episode, part of the episode around the middle section, where the Mandalorian, he's got his full Beskar armor, and Toro Calican, who is the guild member of this episode here, of the Bounty Hunter Guild, and they kind of like have to take cover in the desert to avoid Fennec Shan's sniper shots from high above. And as the Mandalorian and Toro Calican, you are going to be, running around the desert, running around the Dune Sea, as they call it in the series, and you'll be trying to build different like barricades and stuff like that, and try and slowly inch your way closer to Fennec Shand on the sands, while also dodging her blaster bolts that she keeps firing at you. So it's gonna be like kind of like a stealth mission, sort of. You're gonna mostly be like very low to the ground, trying to avoid her sniper shots, and you'll have to be taking cover behind different things and stuff like that. And I was thinking it's like some sort of game mechanic. The Mandalorian would maybe be able to take like 2 or 3 shots from a stormtrooper or some sort of character with a blaster before he goes down. So, maybe you'd have to utilize that mechanic to where, Fennec Shan might shoot you once, shoot you twice, and then shoot you 3 times and you go down. But if you're able to get to the next point of cover before she shoots you 3 times, then you'll be able to, you'll survive, obviously. So I don't know, I just kind of thought, about that just to kind of make this a little bit interesting here. And then for part 3 is like the betrayal part at the end of the episode, where again you play as the Mandalorian in his Beskar armor. Excuse me. Peli Motto and the child. So you're kind of combining all the characters here from the previous parts. Again, you're playing as the Mandalorian, Peli Motto, and the child. And the objective is to have a boss fight with Toro Calican, who ends up kind of being like the villain of the episode, sort of. Again, I wasn't too crazy about this episode, but this boss fight will be taking place in the hangar from the first part, and basically Toro Calican will be on like the entrance to the Razor Crest, kind of like that door there, and he'll be kind of, somewhat on the high ground, if you will, a little bit. And as Peli Motto, the child, and the Mandalorian, you're going to have to kind of like running around and also taking cover from Toro Calican because he has a blaster, and you slowly have to kind of inch your way up to him, then to attack him, and then he'll, find a way to like push the characters back, and then you have to go and try and do that again. And again, I'm going to try and utilize that mechanic where the Mandalorian with his Beskar armor is able to take like 2 or 3 shots before he like loses, he goes down. So why not utilize that mechanic for this moment here where you have to like kind of like walk around trying to avoid Toro Calican, and then if once you get close enough to him, you can attack him. So there's that. That is all of what is it? That is the Gunslinger. That's all level 5. And now we'll move on to level 6. Alright, so now we are on to level 6, and that is called The Prisoner. This was actually a cool episode. This is a pretty cool episode. I like this one a lot. So The Prisoner, obviously, same title, level and episode of the same title there. And for part 1, it's The Job, right? So you play as the Mandalorian in his Beskar armor, and you also play as Ranzar Malk, who is like the guy that the Mandalorian met with in the beginning of this episode. He has like long hair. And he's kind of like the guy that seemed to be Mando's boss at some point, doing a few missions and, stuff like that. And this guy, he was like the guy who basically put together this team to get the, what's that guy's name? I forget the guy's name, but the guy who they're trying to save, basically, he put together this team to do that. So, Ranzar Malk, I just thought it would be better to, like, not just play as the child all the time. And also Mando, well, it's kind of tough to avoid not playing as Mando just because he's in all the episodes and it's his show mostly, although it's also the child. I don't know. I just thought I would spruce it up a little bit. And again, you'll be playing as Mando and Ranzar Malk, and the objective here is to walk around that hangar, that space hangar, and you have to like meet with the team. So you're going to meet Migs Mayfield, you're going to meet Cheyenne, I believe is how you say her name, and you're going to meet Berg, and you're going to find some sort of, they're going to all have missions for you around the hangar. So, like, Migs Mayfield, he lost, like, his, what is it, like, the arm, the little cannon arm that holds the gun, and he can, like, shoot around, like, almost like War Machine, which was pretty cool. So, like, he'll have lost that. Cheyenne needs you to go grab her knives, and Berg, I don't know what Berg would need. I guess, like, you have to go hunt down all the mouse droids around the hangar and destroy them, because I remember he did that, didn't he? I think he destroyed the mouse droids, so. I don't know, some sort of, like, silly, like, little missions just to do for these characters. And then that kind of concludes part 1. Then part 2 is, when they actually infiltrate the rebel ship. I don't know exactly what that ship was. I forget what the one that they infiltrated, but you'll also be playing as the Mandalorian in Beskar, of course, as you usually do. And you play as Migs Mayfield in the Season 1 outfit. You play as Cheyenne, you play as Berg. So you play as the full team here that went into the rebel ship. And the objective here is to kind of infiltrate that rebel prison ship. And you have to kind of like run down the hallways. You're going to be fighting some of like the droid crew that they have guarding the area. And the objective is to basically like the cutscene begins, or rather the gameplay ends when you reach the scene where they meet with that rebel trooper and they end up killing him, which is very sad. But you'll basically meet with him. And you have to kind of, and before that, you have to kind of go through and fight all the droids. You got to sneak around the ship, stuff like that, looking for the prisoner. And that's basically part 2, just kind of like sneaking around that ship and everything like that. Part 3, final part, is the hunt, basically. And this is where the Mandalorian is Beskar armor. And he also plays the child, because there was no other like actual character to play as in this moment here. You play as the child and Mando. And the objective here is to hunt down the crew and defeat them. So I don't know exactly how this is going to work, considering they were kind of all over the ship. But, like, I was thinking as Mando and the child, there was that whole fight with Berg in the control room, basically, and then they shut the doors on him, and they get him there. And then there's also, like, when Mando did, like, that horror movie skit, almost, with Miggs Mayfield, and then, just taking down all the team, basically. I just don't know how it would be set up, because they're all in different parts of the ship, and the ship is supposed to be all open, I guess, kind of. So I don't know if, as Mando and the child, you just kind of like take down Berg, and then take down Miggs Mayfield, then take down Cheyenne. I don't know exactly how to say her name. And you just kind of like taking out the team as you go along. But because the episode was shown that it was just like cuts between each time Mando took one of the members down. So I don't know. I don't know exactly how it's gonna work, but that's the idea. That's mainly the idea here. So yeah, that is The Prisoner. That is level 6. And now we'll move on to level 7. Alright, now we are on to episode 7, level 7. It's called The Reckoning, of course. Very good episode. And this is, starting to get towards the end of season 1. The big moments are building here. And again, really good episode here. So, very excited to get into this one here. And for part 1, this is kind of the part where Queel is explaining how he fixed IG-11 to become a nurse droid. So, this is going to be utilizing the Clone Wars, Lego Star Wars, Clone Wars change character, change setting kind of thing. I always say I got to find a name for it. I feel like I'm never going to end up finding a name for it, knowing me. But yeah, this is basically going to be utilizing that mechanic from that game. And on one side, you'll be playing as Cara Dune, and the objective there is to win that fight with that guy, with like that bar attendee or whatever it was. Because in the beginning of the episode, when Mando's kind of putting together his team, he goes back to that planet from episode 4, the Sanctuary planet, I forget what it's called, and looks for Cara Dune, who's doing like this fight in the bar, this like cage fight sort of, in the bar, and fights like this big guy. So, why not turn that into a level part? So, you play as Cara Dune, you'll be fist fighting or, hand-to-hand combat, this big guy, this big bar attendee guy, from that part of the episode. And yeah, that's pretty much that for that side. Then on the other side, you'll be playing as Queel, and the objective there is to fix IG-11. So how I envision it is that, IG-11 will be on like a table in the middle of Queel's hut, or, like in the back wall of Queel's hut, whatever, and you have to kind of run around Queel's hut and search for some parts to fix up IG-11 and, do whatever you have to do to make him not be a guild member assassin and turn him into a nurse droid. So, yeah, that's kind of the idea there. So, again, on one side, you'll be playing as Cara Dune, doing a boss fight with this bar attendee guy, and then on the other side, you'll be playing as Queel, fixing up IG-11. So, there you go. So, for part 2, this is like the campfire part, the campfire scene from the episode, and you play as the Mandalorian in Beskar armor. You play as Queel, Cara Dune, the Child, and Greef Karga. Quite a cast of characters to play as here, a lot of characters to play as in this part, and the objective is to save 3 blurgs at the fire camp, the campfire. So if you remember this scene from this episode, very cool scene, basically, the group that went on Navarro to go to the bar and meet with that guy who's looking for the child, they all go to this campfire area, and these, like, flying bat creatures of something, I don't even know what they were, start attacking the group and, taking down people, start stealing the blurgs, which was awful. Poor Queel's blurgs being stolen by these guys, by these bat things, whatever they were. And, yeah, they just kept trying to shoot at these bat things, these weird bat dragon creatures that kept attacking them and stealing their stuff. And why not turn into a level part, because why not? So the objective, again, is to save 3 blurgs at this campfire. I don't think there was 3 blurgs in the episode, but got to turn this into some sort of playable part in this level here. So as these 5 characters, as the Mandalorian, Queel, Cara Dune, Child, and Greef Karga, you'll be kind of running around the campfire area, searching for different ways to kind of take down these dragon bat creature things and save some blurgs, because I think like 2 of them get attacked or something like that, which was awful. And yeah, now you have to go find a way to save them all, and that's basically the objective of that part of the level. Part 3 is the big part, the big cliffhanger part, where Mando is yelling back, get back to the ship, Quill, are you back at the ship? And then, spoilers, well, I mean, spoilers should be, if you haven't seen The Mandalorian, go watch it. But, when Quill eventually, of course, passes away, which is awful, he gets attacked by the scout troopers. So sad, so sad. And, basically the objective here, or actually the characters here, is, this is going to be kind of a weird style part of the level. This is going to be more similar style to, like, some of the levels in Lego Batman 2, where, like, sometimes you play as vehicles for, some of the levels, like you play as, like, the Batmobile and, like, the Batcycle. That's kind of like what this is going to be, sort of, but instead you're going to be playing as a Blurg, which, will just be, like, running along the fields of Navarro, and you'll also be playing as Quill, who's going to be shooting off the side of the Blurg. So, actually, I guess this is kind of similar to the Force Awakens video game, too, where there will be some moments where you, like in the DLC for Poe Dameron, for example, the Poe Dameron DLC, there's like this sequence in that part of the level where you're on like this speeder and you're kind of flying through the sands of Tatooine as these like pirates chase after you, and then one character was playing as like the driver, and the other was playing as like a gunner character, on the speeder. Very similar to that, but instead you're playing as a Blurg, who's, running along, again, the plains of Navarro, I guess. And you also be playing as Quill on top, who's using his blaster to shoot at the scout troopers. And the objective here is to make it to the ship and destroy the scout troopers' speeders. But obviously that doesn't really happen. So, there's going to be a point where, like, after a little while of, shooting and running, you eventually get to the point where there is, the Razor Crest is in the distance, and then you obviously go to cutscene. And then we learn that Quill actually did not make it to the Razor Crest and gets shot. How sad. How awful. But yeah, that's kind of the idea for that. And that ends this level. That ends the Reckoning level. And now we'll move on to the final level of The Mandalorian Season 1. Now we are on to the final episode / final level of this video here. And that level / episode is called Redemption. Super cool episode. This is like the coolest finale of well, I mean, not the coolest finale of The Mandalorian, because Season 2's finale was incredible, which we'll obviously get to. But this was a cool finale. This was a cool finale for Season 1, especially considering this story was very, very contained. Not a lot really was too crazy that happened, but this was a really cool finale for this series. Very good episode. Very excited to get into it. And for part 1, this is the part with that E-Web, I wrote it down here, E-Web Heavy Repeating Blaster Cannon. That is quoted from Moff Gideon, I guess, here. And the characters you play as is the Mandalorian, in his Beskar armor, of course, Greef Karga, Cara Dune, and IG-11. IG-11, actually, in the episode, in level 1, you play as IG-11, so yeah. And the objective here is to destroy the E-Web Heavy Repeating Blaster Cannon. So obviously, this is the part where all the stormtroopers are lined up by that bar, whatever, that restaurant there on Navarro, and Moff Gideon's leading them. We see Moff Gideon for the first time, and he's all ready and like looking menacing and stuff like that. And then he talks about it like my troopers have completed my troopers have completed an assembly of an E-Web Heavy Repeating Blaster Cannon. And then starts like telling all the group that's stuck in that restaurant like facts about themselves. That it was so cool. What a cool sequence. And then obviously this cannon starts shooting at them at the gang here, of course. And again, the objective here is to destroy that E-Web Heavy Repeating Blaster Cannon. So almost like a boss fight with this cannon, sort of, and just be like a trooper on the back, just trying to shoot at the gang here, shooting at Mando, Cara Dune, Greef Karga, and IG-11. And, they have to go and, like, try and defend against it, sort of. So that's part 1 there. This part 2, the second part here, is called the Navarro Underground, where the Mandalorian covert was. And you play as, again, Mandalorian, Greef Karga, Cara Dune, the Child, and IG-11. And this is utilizing, again, the Clone Wars change character, change setting mechanic of that game. And again, on one side, you play as this group of 5 characters, IG-11, Child, Greef Karga, Cara Dune, and the Mandalorian. And you have to escape the Navarro Underground. So basically, you're just going to be running around that underground Navarro area until you reach the boat part with the giant astromech with legs, swimming through the lava. And then on the other side, who could this be? You're actually going to be playing as the Armorer from Season 1 or Season 1 look, which I don't think she really changed her look too much, but regardless, you're playing as the Armorer, and the objective there is to defeat all the Stormtroopers that show up. So, I just thought it'd be kind of cool to include this part because that was such a really awesome scene where the Armorer just starts going wild on these Stormtroopers that kind of try to attack her, and she, like, throws one into the Beskar, like, flame. Such a cool scene. And, yeah, just having that scene be played out in a LEGO game, I think could be kind of fun. So on one side, the Armorer is going wild on all these Stormtroopers that come in and attack her, and then on the other side, you're playing as this group of 5 characters trying to run through the Navarro Underground where the Mandalorian covert was, and you have to kind of like escape and reach this boat area. So that is that. Part 3, final part of the final level/episode is Moff Gideon, the Moff Gideon showdown part, where now you're playing as Mandalorian with a jetpack. Very cool. And this is going to actually, this is also utilizing that Clone Wars switch setting technique as well, or mechanic, whatever. And on one side, you're playing as the Mandalorian with a jetpack, and it's going to be similar to the Blurg with Queel part of the last level, and also, that DLC from the Force Awakens video game. I don't know why that's the only one I'm thinking of, but that's just the one that comes to mind most notably, I guess. Like that kind of like that sequence where you're flying around automatically and you're just kind of shooting and stuff like that. So that's what's also going to be here. And you're going to be playing as the Mandalorian with a jetpack, flying around, and in this sequence, you're trying to shoot down Moff Gideon's TIE Fighter and defeat Moff Gideon's TIE Fighter is basically the objective here. And you're going to have a boss fight with Moff Gideon's TIE Fighter. And then on the other side, you play as Cara Dune and Greef Karga, and the objective there, considering I really couldn't think of anything to really do with these guys, is to build cannons on like that little boat area to help defeat Moff Gideon's TIE Fighter. So, for the co-op character, the co-op player here, it's kind of not as fun maybe, but because you're not playing as the Mandalorian, actually taking on the Moff Gideon's TIE Fighter here. But as a co-op game, you still get somewhat of be able to take them down. Where you play as Cara Dune and Greef Karga, building cannons to help take down Moff Gideon's TIE Fighter. So you just kind of like build them up, and then you like sit in them and just kind of shoot at the TIE Fighter as it kind of flies around with Mando following close behind. Then eventually, as you weaken it enough, then the cutscene begins, and then you see the Mandalorian finally take down the Moff Gideon's TIE Fighter rather. And then obviously we have that amazing scene where it gets revealed that Moff Gideon wields the Darksaber. Oh my god, what a cool scene. What a great ending to that season. Incredible. Really great show. Love this show. So, there you go. That's all of it. Alright, so there you all have it. That is the end of The Mandalorian Season 1 levels for the LEGO Star Wars Disney Plus show video game. Yeah, that was everything. I was trying to think if I missed anything in that title, but got everything. Again, end of Mando Season 1. Next video, or next, part of this chapter, whatever, we'll be picking up with the Mandalorian Season 2 levels, first 4 episode levels, which are very exciting. Can't wait to get into all of that. But, yeah, that's really it. That's all from me for the end of Mando Season 1. Can't wait to get into Mando Season 2, and of course all the other Star Wars shows that I will be making videos on for this series. But there you go. So if you enjoyed that video, do the common YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys later.